Hi, I'm Aaron Garcia. Welcome to episode 15 of Conversations with Aaron, show where I interview local artists, garner a few recommendations from them, and highlight their works. Today's guest will be Patch. Yo!
Hello.
Hey, what's up, Patch?
What's up?
Hey, that was a great handshake.
Absolutely.
Cool. Go ahead and get yourself cozy.
Cool.
Man, yeah, this chair's like, I'll be so high-key if I fall in the middle of it. I apologize.
It's okay.
To you and to the viewers. All right, Patch. Well, thank you so much for coming. First thing I try to ask all guests is a very simple question. How are you?
I'm doing great today.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm good. Yep.
All right, Patch. Well, artist is a term I can use on you, but do you want to sort of dive deeper into that? Tell the audience exactly what you do? Because I mean, you're a person of multiple talents. It looks like or whatever. Talents we'll get to a little later. But yeah, you want to just tell us?
Yeah, for sure. So first off, I'm an artist. I'm watercolorist and an oil painter. I actually went to UNC for entrepreneurship and painting and drawing. Got my minor in painting and drawing, but so basically what I do is I'll have paintings that I'll make, and then I'll take those paintings and I'll put them on clothing that I'll hand bleach, hand tie-dye, and then make those and sell them and things like that. Nice.
Okay, a couple of different ways we could go about this now. So I mean, I'll start with the basic question with regards to that. Your love for painting and all that, was that lifelong?
Yeah.
Something, was there an aha moment for you, or how was it?
Kind of. So basically, my mom's an art teacher. She taught for 33 years. So she did elementary level, and then my dad is an architect. Okay. So I feel like it kind of my grandmother was also an oil painter. So she was really awesome. She did portraits and things like that, and it was really cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was 18, and I did a lot of art early on in my life, from I don't know, age 3 to maybe 10 or so, when I was a kid. And then I started getting into sports more, and I started shying away from that. I took an art class in high school, and I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't still my calling. It didn't feel like it really drew to me. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't it didn't click. It wasn't the right, it wasn't the right timing, I guess.
God. When did that right timing come?
So after I graduated high school.
Okay.
Yeah, nice. When I was 18, it was basically right out of a dark period in my life, basically. And it was I had just a lot of emotion, inside.
Nice. And art was the thing that was therapeutic, is sort of
that I could get it out. So like I said, my mom was an art teacher, so she had a lot of art supplies and things like that. And it was one day I just remember I think I was sad or something, I don't know, maybe. And I was just you have any painting stuff? And she was yeah, I got a ton of painting stuff. So she gave me all these canvases, and she was a watercolorist. So that was the first thing that I really started doing was watercolor, and I just kind of kept doing that.
Nice. And when you started doing it, obviously your family, bunch of artists or whatever, was the level you are now in terms of skill. I don't know if skill is an appropriate word to use. How did that progress? Was there a lot you're oh, I need to get better? Was that a way you were thinking, or was it more oh, this is the style I'm doing now, and then it's gonna evolve? How was that?
Yeah, it was more so just out of enjoyment. Especially in the beginning, it was just there was no idea of this is wrong. There was no idea of this is incorrect or this isn't good enough, because it was just I'm just doing it to get out whatever is on my chest. I'm just trying to lose myself in something else that's not the reality I'm dealing with in that moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's definitely evolved over time. Like I said, I got my minor in painting and drawing, so it was kind of I wanted to get better. And I think over time I kind of realized this is what I want to do. This is just this is I used to rap, actually. I was a rapper, and that was
viewers are I thought Patch looked familiar.
I've seen that boy.
I had beef with him.
Yeah, I've seen that boy with Nas. No, I'm just kidding. Not Nas.
Oh no. Man. Well, that's cool. And talking about that, because you mentioned initially it started, you had sort of emotions and whatnot you wanted to get out. So is that a continuing trend with your art today? Is it still like that, or has it, there are some things you do, with generating emotions, some you do just for work, Is there like a mix?
Yeah, there's definitely a mix. The emotional things, they don't always come, it feels like. It's like,
interesting.
it's kind of like catching lightning in a bottle sometimes. Like, it's
Okay.
like, I'll have pieces that like, I'm very like, I understand them more than others, right? Like I like have an emotional attachment to, compared to like, you know, if I paint a sunflower or something like that.
Gotcha.
Like it's like, cause so like my style is just like, I'm ADHD. Like I'm so ADHD, and like I'm just all over the place with like the things that I want to paint. Like right now, like I'm working on like a jungle scene, but I really want to paint a dove, and I really want to paint a sparrow.
You said
like,
a jungle scene?
Yeah,
Damn, that's
it's like a hand coming out of like a tree, and it's like
Oh,
you're trying to
heard it here
grab.
first, folks. That's awesome. God.
Yeah.
Okay, groovy. And kind of speaking about that, you know, the idea like, you know, your style. It's like, oh, this is like me right now. Or you know, the idea of like you are the artist or whatever. You know, like it's, you know, as a filmmaker myself, I've always sort of scoffed at the idea that a filmmaker has to only like do one genre. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I only make horror movies. It's like, well, no, you like a whole bunch of different. Why can't you do more?
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice you saying that, like, you are the brand, you know, like you yourself, so it can like encompass everything.
Yeah.
That's really sort of awesome. And are you consciously trying to like develop your brand? Like, do you have a brand? Like, in other words, like if someone's like, oh, it's in the style of Patch. Do you think people would like get that?
I think it's possible. I use oils and watercolors, so it's like
Okay.
they look completely different, you know. But like I still feel like you can kind of see my paintings. Like it's like the certain style that I use, you can like it is recognizable. At least to me, I feel like it is. But
Okay.
I mean, it all like most of my pieces fall under like the category of like spirituality and duality, like a concept of like good and evil. Like this is my clothing brand.
Nice.
And it's like, so it's flow era, and it's like the yin and the yang, the E's backwards, and then, yeah, so.
Yeah, it's like that Truman Show, like the advertising. You're just wearing everything.
Dude.
And then your watch is like Patch brand.
Yeah, bro. It's everything, yeah.
Well, that's cool. Well, tell me about like, you know, we talked about, you know, making your work, but like showing, like, you know, exhibiting, like, how was that? And like, can you tell me about your experiences with that? Like,
Yeah.
how did it start? Because I mean, I don't, you know, any artist, like when you create something and you show it to people, like that can kind of be like nerve wracking a bit, like, because you're
Yeah.
exposing yourself and whatnot. And like, so
Yeah.
how was that?
I mean, it definitely like, I feel like it might have taken some getting used to. I'm always been like a pretty vulnerable person. Like I'm always pretty just open, and I don't like to hold back from things. I like to
I
like
like that.
give like everything that I can in every moment for the most part. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the first time I got put on display, I remember I had been crying that day. And like, I was supposed to go stand next to my art, and I remember just being sad, but it was like, that was just, you know, whatever was going on in my life during that time.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, I literally go to events just every weekend now and like show my art, and then like I sell at the community market. And like I have my portfolio there, and I have all my paintings hung up, and it was really weird. Like maybe a couple weeks ago, like somebody brought that up to me, and it was funny because I had never really thought about it before. Like I think like in the beginning I might have been like, oh, this is my art. Like I don't know how I feel about this, but then like I just did it so much that somebody said like, wow, you have all of these pieces right here, and like you like they're just here, and I was like, yeah. It's like, I don't know.
Okay, groovy.
So
How does that work? By the way, you know, you're speaking to a very ignorant person, obviously. Like, you know, when it comes to like displaying your work, do you have to like know someone who knows someone?
the
Do you
what
just-
kind of work? I'm sorry.
Oh, like when you like exhibit your work, when you show it off, like, do you have to like know someone who has connections? Do you just hit up like vendors and?
I mean, yeah, like the vending scene, or like the vending scene in Denton is pretty big. Like there's a lot of events that go on, and I mean, I'm connected. You know, I first got connected through Instagram.
Nice.
First people I ever vended with was Punks and Painters.
Shout out Punks and Painters.
Shout out Punks and Painters.
There
Yeah. And then from there, it was kind of like I got into every which way. And then I remember vending early on, and it's like I was doing like events every weekend. Like I just started meeting people, and they're like, hey, there's an event over here. There's an event over here. And just started, you know, making friends, talking to people. And the big one was always the community market. Like that was like if you get into that, like you have a consistent market every single week, and you have like an opportunity to possibly just go full time with what you're doing for like, for at least like 2/3 of the year for the most part, because it runs 2/3 out of the year.
Good. And tell me about audience reception. I mean, I'd hate to imagine it's ever like a bad audience reception or whatever, but like, just tell me how your work was like perceived like initially when you started, because you bring your style and maybe it's like a new thing people aren't used to. Like, I mean,
yeah.
So how has the audience reception changed from like the beginning to like now?
It's always been good. I used to vend at like rap concerts in Dallas, and like I would never sell anything there. Like I remember I would go there, but I think it was just like I was in the wrong like niche for like what I was doing. Like people come up and be like, oh yeah, it's cool, like I like it, these are cool paintings. But then like over time, like people, like I don't know, I expanded and got better and painted more, and like I feel like most of the time people are, and I don't mean to be like prideful or anything like that, but I feel like most of the time people like my stuff, really, and like at least like the people who will come into my booth and see me, I feel like they have an interest because something caught their eye. So obviously my stuff isn't going to be like for everybody. Yeah. But
nor does it have to be.
No.
That's awesome.
No, not at all. So yeah, but I feel like people like what I do.
Nice. And does the audience like when you paint, when you're making work, is the audience ever in your mind, or is it solely you? Like
I try not to.
I
try not to have any of that in my, especially with painting. Like when I'm making a TikTok or something like that, or making like some content, I definitely have the audience in mind, but I'm trying to get away from that as well. Like it's like, but with painting, it's like that's mine. Like that is like.
That's why they watch it.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Like it's like that's not from. If you're gonna do something for somebody else, it's not from the heart. Like it's not.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not.
Very true.
It's not you at that point, and it's like you gotta, be open to creating for yourself, and then let that energy come.
Yeah, exactly.
To you.
The idea like. They come for the paintings, but then they stay for the memes or whatever you post.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. Well, tell me about your social media following and whatnot. Is that something that you feel like was necessary as an artist? It's like, oh, I can't be painting. I have to, make an online presence.
Yeah.
Was that like a pressure you felt, or?
I've always posted my art online, or for the most part, ever since I pretty much started painting. I feel like it was always like. Something that I wanted was to grow on social media. I used to feel pressured by it. Like back in the day, I was like, oh my God, this post only got like 40 likes, like and then like I literally got to the point where I was posting just like a TikTok like every day. It's like, I don't care. I'm doing it so much at this point, like it doesn't matter to me, like what anybody thinks. I'm doing this for myself, and like because I know that like it will grow over time, and like it's very necessary in today's day and age.
I was always sort of anti social media, being a hip, whatever, but like it's pretty necessary, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing either. You always look at the bad side of social media, which there is, but also be a fun thing. Getting to know. That's how we met. I mean, shoot, so it's all good. I want to ask, like. So obviously we're going to look at some of your work later, which we're very excited for. Everything from like clothing, the paintings and whatnot, some TikToks even. But does it stop there for you? Is the patch in 2023? Is this the patch we'll see in 2033? Meaning, like, are you gonna get into like another type of art or anything else? Like, is there anything on the horizon for you that like, oh, I might eventually take this up or try this out?
Man,
where do I start?
I really, really want like a large online business more than anything. That's like what I want, to have that, and then eventually like I'd like to have like my own store at some point. I feel like with the painting, I'm very comfortable doing that, and that's like what I like to do. Like the way that I paint is the way that I like to paint. I will get better with time. There's no, because that's just natural, that's just organic growth. But I think the growth really that I'm seeking more than anything is like the business side, to just like really like build myself up to the point to where like I have like a multi-million-dollar business. Like that's what I want, more than anything.
No, that's great because it's a tale of two things. Some people, I feel like you're doing it the right way. You've developed your craft and who you are as an artist. Therefore, now you can focus on the business because that's taken care of. You have something to show. Whereas other people try to do like the business thing without having like anything to them, and it's like, who are you? Like, why should we, and so.
Yeah.
I think you're doing it the great way, so that's awesome.
Appreciate it.
And that's what the show, I guess, for me, developing this talk show.
Absolutely.
But well, that's great, dude. And how do you feel about like, do you often visit your earlier works? Do you sort of look at them and like, are you sentimental with them? Like, or are you kind of like, that's awful, or do you kind of appreciate everything you've done?
Sometimes it's all three. It's definitely I feel like there's some pieces that I make that I look back on and I understand them more later on, especially like years later. It's like, oh, that's how I felt during that time. Like that was like a, it was a phase I was going through, and maybe like it was childish, or it was like maybe a relationship didn't work out or something like that. Yeah. Like it is interesting. Like there's a piece of the tree that's like, it's basically about like my growth in Denton. It's called 3 Lives. I don't have it. I didn't give it to you guys, but
in post-production we can add it.
Okay.
There it is.
Yeah. So it's basically, it's about like my phases throughout Denton. Whenever I first moved here, I felt like I was like very empty on the inside. Like I was just like 21. Like I did 2 years community college, came out here for UNT. Nice. And I didn't know anybody, and I just felt very empty. And over time, I grew and I met people, and like I began to bloom and like become more comfortable with myself and like what I'm doing, and less about what other people think and things like that. So I was looking at that piece the other day, and it really kind of it meant a lot, It just like it was beautiful. A moment. Yeah.
Oh, that's really special. I love that. And sort of last two questions sort of wrap this up. You're a fascinating individual, Patch. I must say, it's all great. Your art. Have you been commissioned to do anything like? And has anyone ever asked you to do like an album cover, or a poster, or anything like? Has because people see like artists or whatever. So have you been like? Is that a constant thing that you're
It's not constant. It's definitely not
happens
constant.
Every now and then.
Yeah, it happens every now and again. I'll get somebody, like I had a girl last year who wanted me to paint shoes for her, so I painted her like some
while she was wearing them too. Like,
yeah, while she was walking.
That's a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it happens every now and again.
And are you open to that? Like, are you like pretty cool?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. It's just like where I'm at right now, like people ask my prices, and that's normally like the thing that, I mean, it's not like they're crazy high or anything like that, but
we talk. I don't want you have to be too specific, but
yeah,
3 figures, 4 figures, 5 figures,
3 figures.
Oh, that man ain't bad.
3 figures.
It's not, I know some amateur like filmmakers who'd be charging people like thousands of dollars. For it's like, bro, like,
no, I typically charge by like how much time, and then materials.
Okay, that's reasonable.
And like how big you want it, basically. And that's like the idea of it.
Okay, well,
yeah.
Obviously, we can't like actually advertise it, but wink, Patch is always here. Well, last thing, to wrap up this this interview segment, if you will, conversations with Aaron. I would like it to be a time capsule. I assume all the guests are eventually going to become like worldwide famous and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
You being obviously no exception. So I just want to ask right now, as we film this 2023 Patch, where are you? Like, in a way you're speaking to your future self. Your future self can look at this like as an art piece and like, oh yeah, I was sentimental, sad, blah, blah, blah. But like, where are you if you can like describe this version of you today?
I really, really feel like I am like in a growth phase right now. Like nice. I really feel like I am like seeing things that like I've been working for years come into like actualization, and like I'm like kind of looking at it, and it's pretty bizarre at times. It's not where I want to be yet, and I don't know if I'll ever get to where I want to be.
Yeah.
Like in general.
On Mars.
Yeah. Definitely a growth phase. Like I feel like I'm moving forward,
Nice.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, we love to see that. That's beautiful, and you'll be all right. Alrighty, well, cool. Well, once again, this is Patch. Thank you so much. Obviously we hadn't met before, so I'm so thankful I did. So obviously I feel a lot closer to you. I know the audience does, and well, I think we're gonna recommend some stuff to the audience now. Are you ready for that?
I'm ready.
All right, bet. Well, let me. My bad, I didn't write it down, so it's gonna be on my phone. I apologize for my unprofessionalness, but all right, cool. So the way it works is pretty simple. It's gonna be 6 things. I'll go first, so it'll be 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6.
Okay.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Cool. All right, cool.
Let's get it.
Heck yeah. As I kind of have to open my phone because I forgot what number 1 is. All right, cool. Well, howdy, audience of Conversations with Aaron. Patch and I are now going to recommend 6 things to y'all. Like always, I mostly have songs. I might add a movie or whatever, but yeah, for now it'll be songs. So the very first song I want to add is, I think it's a recent song. I always hear it on the radio, and it's beautiful. It's Sideways Skull by the Steady. It's on paper, it's a song I don't think I'd really like, because it's like, oh, it's a song where the vocals are essentially someone just talking. And I'm like, what is this, like a Lou Reed song? What? I don't know, but it's an amazing song. It's very hard rocking. I love the lyrics. It's so catchy in a very sort of peculiar way because he's not necessarily singing, but he kind of is. And yeah, just an overall great rocking song. That is Sideways Skull by the Steady, and definitely check it out. And that's my first recommendation. Patch, what is yours?
I'll go with a book first.
Ooh, oh, we love our books.
I'll do a book. It's a classic book, East of Eden by John Steinbeck. Have you read it before? Or?
Is there a movie based on it?
Yes, probably. It's probably like in the 50s though.
Yeah,
it's like
James. Yeah.
It's an old movie. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's like my favorite book. Like, it's basically like a play on the story of Cain and Abel. Like, it's like 2 brothers, and I'll like get into the second chapter. Like, it's like one brother basically is about to kill the other brother. It's like, and it's written in like I think early 20s or something, but it's John Steinbeck, so super descriptive. But basically, like, 2 brothers are walking in the woods, and like one brother hates the other brother, so Cain and Abel, right?
Yeah, literally.
And like, he's like, I could kill you right now and nobody would care, and I could do it. And he's like, absolutely, I'm gonna do it. And he starts
oh my goodness,
just beating him up. And
this
like,
is the second chapter.
This is like a second chapter.
We still have 100 more to go.
And the guy survives, right? Like, he crawls away and he's all right. Spoiler, second chapter.
Yeah.
But it takes like a lot of different perspectives. Like, one of the perspectives of this book is like this girl who's just nuts. Like, she kills her family and like ends up like running a brothel, and like it's nuts.
It's so amazing, like, reading books from, you said that was like what, 20s?
Yeah, dude, it's an old book.
It's so crazy, like when a book resonates with you, that's like so old, but it still like somehow feels contemporary.
Yeah.
Like, with regards to like the pathos or like the thematic elements. Like,
yeah.
Damn, is it East of Eden, you said?
East of Eden by John Steinbeck. Yep.
I'm be real, I'm not the biggest reader. I need to rectify that. Perhaps I will start with East of Eden.
Dude, it's a good read.
Right, cool. Well, thank you so much for that. We need more book recommendations. I know my friend Stefan watching this at home is like, oh, finally someone with a book recommendation. So thank you, Patch.
For sure.
All right, on to our second recommendation. Mine is going to be Want by Maggie Rogers. Longtime viewers of Aaron, Conversations with Aaron know how I feel about Maggie Rogers. I love her. Want is, I believe, her second single off of her latest album. It followed That's Where I Am, which obviously I recommended like on 2 different episodes. But Want, I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard it, it wasn't it for me. Maybe it was just I just wasn't in the right headspace or whatever. But I revisited it, and in some ways I almost prefer it over That's Where I Am. It's so great. I mean, it encapsulates everything about Maggie Rogers that I love. Her vocal melody, just like, it's so great when you like listen to a band or a singer, and it's like just their vocals that like entice you, like not even like guitar solos or whatever.
Absolutely.
Just like them singing. And
yeah.
Maggie Rogers is fascinating. I will forever regret that I wasn't able to see her live like a month or 2 ago. That's
what I've heard of her. What medium or what genre is she?
She's like, oh man, it's sort of, help me out, Conversations with Aaron. Type in right now. It's if I have to say, it's like indie rock.
Indie rock?
I
Okay.
guess. I don't know.
Okay.
Like her earlier stuff was definitely a lot more indie. It's becoming a lot more pop,
Yeah.
which I'm all here for. I love me some pop music.
For sure.
But yeah, definitely check out check out
Maggie
her in general.
Rogers.
She's awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Is she
Sick.
my age? And she's probably younger than me. But yeah, 1-1, I absolutely love it. Specifically, man, when she after the first chorus, once she like goes into the second verse, like perfection. It's absolutely great. Check out 1-1 by Maggie Rogers. That is Aaron's second recommendation. Patch,
Sick.
what is your second?
I will go with the album
Ooh,
AT Aliens by Outkast.
yo, okay.
You know that?
Which one is that?
That's their second album
Okay.
that they ever released. It's my favorite album. A lot of people like what is it? Not Speaker Box. Speaker Box is good, but
Yeah.
I want the American flag in the back, and they're like posted
Is
up.
that the one with the bombs over Baghdad?
Yes, that is on that.
Okay,
it's on that. It's on the one with the American flag in the back. But AT Aliens is like they're not like super big or anything like that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're still like trying to find their way. But like, gosh, it's just so melodic. Like it's like, and they speak some real words. Like
Yeah.
I can't cuss. Like,
We'll just have to premiere it later on.
it's just. I just think it's a masterpiece. I think it's really
Honestly,
good.
yeah, and because how would you describe their genre? Like, are they rap kind of like?
Oh, they're hip hop. They're
Hip-hop,
definitely
yeah.
hip hop. Yeah.
It's definitely they were the first. Because obviously growing up, you know, being born in '95, also I kind of grew up like listening to a lot
I was
of their songs.
97.
I said, oh, nice.
Yeah.
Finally, someone who wasn't born after 2000. He's awful.
I feel.
Their music is just like they were the first sort of artists like when I really broke down. Because I'm like, oh, they're just rapping. But then once I was actually listening, I was like, the production on it, it's like
yeah.
insane. All this stuff they're doing and
It's
the
the
way they're
South.
rapping, like, you know,
Yeah.
Andre 3000, like,
Yeah.
he's so fast, but like it's so clear. And I don't know, like it really kind of didn't resonate with me, but it made me appreciate like the art form a lot more. I'm like, man, I was an ignorant asshole before, but like now I'm actually like, this is amazing. It's
Yeah.
so technically sound and it's
Yeah.
great stuff.
No, they're great. They're definitely great.
yeah.
Southern hip hop.
Good stuff. Well, thank you for that. Check out that album. Yeah, check out Outkast too. They're awesome.
Yeah, definitely check out Outkast if you don't
They
know
obviously
Outkast.
broke up like years ago, right? Like they're
Yeah, they
kinda
just
big boy.
kind of outgrew, you know, what they were doing. Big Boy, I think, still makes music sometimes, and then Andre 3000 is like acting. So, yeah. But I think they just kind of.
That like period in the mid 2000s when he was like in every movie.
Was he?
Andre 3000.
I've never see. I saw him in a show one time, and I was like, okay, like, he's in a show, sick. But like, I haven't seen anything else with him.
Oh really? Yeah, he was in
So-
like Four Brothers, one of my favorite.
That's right. Yeah, the one in Detroit. I have seen that one. Yeah.
Semi a few others, but good looking man. Well, yeah, that's a cool. Thank you for that. So now we're on to our third recommendation, and do I want to recommend just Four Brothers now? I love that movie.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, I'll recommend that. I'll put this song next week. I'm gonna recommend Four Brothers. John Singleton directed it. You know, the late great John Singleton, rest in peace. One of my favorite filmmakers. One of the first filmmakers I looked up to. He directed other films. You know, Boys in the Hood, Baby Boy, which I recommended some episodes back, and Four Brothers. A really great movie. It's a movie that I really like because it's something that could feel very conventional or whatever, but when you really watch it, you see John Singleton's staples, especially if you've seen his other works, you can see kind of what he brought to it. And that's what I always try to tell people, as you know, like filmmakers or directors. It's like nothing's original per se, you know, but it's like it's how you tell it. It's about your own style and how you do it. And so just is it Oscar worthy? I don't know, but does that even matter? It's a film that I really like, and so check it out. Four Brothers. And fun fact: if I had to give like a top 10 list of like my all-time favorite performances, Mark Wahlberg in this might actually be in that top 10. I just love his performance in it. So it kind of reminds me of my uncle and whatnot. But check out Four Brothers. This sort of spur of the moment recommendation by me. Thank you, Patch, for
sure.
that on. And,
It's also like shot in Detroit, which is like it's pretty cool.
See, there's that sort of like any other director probably wouldn't have done that. It's that authenticity and whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have that on the background now.
That
Test that out.
is my painting.
Yeah, we'll have that on. It's a little sneak peek. But yeah, that's my third recommendation. What is yours?
I'm gonna riff off of that. There's a song in the very beginning of Four Brothers that plays.
I know exactly what you're
You know what I'm gonna say?
Marvin Gaye?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
It's Marvin Gaye, Trouble Man, and it is a good song.
Yeah.
It is just, it's so soulful, and it's a good song.
Marvin Gaye is a great one.
Yeah,
It's like enough said. It's a great song.
Yeah, it's a great song. Rest in peace, Marvin Gaye.
R.I.P. Yeah, ooh, that's tragic. But yeah,
No.
well, thank you for that third recommendation. All right, we're on the latter half now. My fourth recommendation is gonna be from a local band. A local band I actually I have the pleasure of actually kind of knowing them. It's Almost Unbearable by Blueberry Tuesday. A very great song, very short, and check out the music video too. If you look up the song, look up the music video. The music video is so cool. It's so simple, but I just love it. The song itself is very short. I think it's barely over a minute, and again, sort of like Sideways Skull, where like on paper, if you described it to me, I probably would be like, oh, I don't like it. What? It's it's screamo. It's it's really heavy and all that. Or not heavy, but like just like I don't know. We'll go with that.
I love Blueberry Tuesday. They're great.
Bro, well, yeah, maybe you've heard the song before, but
I haven't actually. I need to like be better about listening to just artists in Denton.
Yeah.
I'm not too good at it, but
yeah,
no, I've put on like shows before, and I had them. I think I had them perform twice.
This is insane.
Yeah,
This is like the crossover event of the century.
Yeah, shout out B.
And then Tuesday themselves.
And then Tuesday, Blueberry Tuesday.
Yeah, heck yeah. But
Yeah.
well, speaking of the way their vocals bounce off, because Tuesday's obviously like screaming in the song, like some, but then it goes to B speaking German, I think, and it's like so freaking amazing. It's crazy, but
it's bizarre. They're doing something very cool.
they are very talented. In general, I'm gonna just check out Blueberry Tuesday in general, because they're more than just their music. They're absolutely phenomenal, and Patch can attest to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my fourth recommendation, and Patch, what's yours?
I made a list. Let's see.
Oh, you're good.
Well, I was actually thinking of a song earlier that came to my head whenever we saw. I'll just say, "The Artist in the Ambulance" by Thrice.
Oh my! I know Thrice.
You know Thrice?
And so, because that's the group, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I know Thrice.
Yeah. So "The Artist in the Ambulance," it's like it's a punk song. It's definitely like a punk, like kind of pop punk a little bit, but it's definitely like heavy on like guitar and like things like that, and just the vocals and everything. But it shows you how much I know about like punk music. I try to talk about it.
Music, quarter notes.
E minor.
Are you a musician? Or were you ever?
No, I played violin.
That's something.
A long time in middle school. So like I don't claim to be a musician at all. I rapped as well, but yeah.
That's a skill into itself, dude.
Yeah.
I tried rapping, like just for fun. It was so hard, dude.
Yeah.
I felt like my tongue was gonna fall off. I was like, I ain't made for that. I'm made for other things, but not rapping.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
man.
understand.
Awesome. Oh, that's unfortunate. You're like, yeah. I was a rapper, keyword.
I used to, so I was painting while I used to rap actually, and I used to put paintings behind me and I would rap.
Oh, that's wicked.
Yeah.
Damn, bro. Cue archival footage here.
Don't do it.
Cool. All right, well, thank you so much for that. We're down to our last two recommendations. The fifth recommendation is, speaking of punk, it's going to be I think they consider themselves punk. I apologize if I mislabeled y'all, but it's the song Trent the Trout by local Denton band Pausable. I actually knew Michael Pausable, leader of Pausable back in the day. Cool dude. And this song is like amazing. Michael Pausable I thought was always a very talented musician, and this song just further proves it, because his talents lie in kind of that sort of Kurt Cobain thing, I feel, where it's like you can make something that's like grungy, but the melodies and whatnot really like elevate it to being, it's not just like some, random like guitar, like, just pounding the instruments. It's like there's a real, dare I say, beauty to it. There's a real like musicianship behind it and whatnot. It's not just like random noise and whatnot. I think Trent the Trout is like an amazing song. You can listen to it if you like any genre, but it's just so catchy and well put together that it's phenomenal. And just check out that, and maybe you'll go down a little rabbit hole and check out more of their work. But yeah, that's my fifth recommendation. Trent the Trout by Pausable. Check him out. Woo! Patch, what is your 5th recommendation?
It's probably pretty well known, but I'll do Mac Miller's Circles, the album.
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. Mac Miller.
Man.
It's like my favorite album.
Which one was it?
Circles.
Circles.
Posthumous, or posthumous, however you say that word.
I don't know how to say it. I know how to spell it, but I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, it was released after he passed. It's just, I can't remember the guy's name that worked on it with him, but it's just a beautiful masterpiece, and it's not rap at all. It's all melodic, and you can really feel like, I don't know, I guess the pain that he was kind of going through before that. Like, did you hear the song Good News? You ever hear that one by him?
I probably have like peripherally, but
okay. It was released like right before the pandemic, so I think it came out in like 2020. The album did at least, but like that song came out like right before the pandemic. And
okay, I don't think I've heard it, but I definitely remember it kind of being like Mac Miller's release.
Yeah. Well, he just kind of like talks about how he's about to die, and it's like this, like, it's crazy because it's like the way that it's like he knows, like he's like, it's coming, and it's like
it's one of those like hindsight things where you listen and you're like, oh dang.
Yeah, but I mean, like the first words like spent the whole day in my head. Maybe I should get out of bed or something like that. I don't remember exactly.
I got to give a shout out to Mac Miller on. Did you ever watch Wild 'N Out? Like Nick Cannon's Wild 'N Out?
Yeah.
Bro, when he's on that episode, man, he cooks himself like during the freestyle portion.
Yeah?
Like,
he's a funny guy, man.
Yeah,
he's a funny
like,
guy. Yeah.
They're freestyling and like just check it out. Like, you know, in addition to this album, like check out Mac Miller's appearance on Wild 'N Out. Because if y'all know anything about that, it's like 3 segments, I think. I forget what they are, but the last segment is like a freestyle battle between the 2 teams. When he goes on, like, man, he is just like cooking. Like, he is like just, and it's like so effortless, like, because he's laughing through it, but he's like just like saying all this stuff, and like he's just roasting people so badly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Mac Miller. Also, that was great, dude.
Yeah.
And well, thank you, sir. All right, so our last recommendation, it finally came. My last recommendation is going to be a very recent film, a very polarizing film, but one which, low-key, it was so polarizing I wasn't expecting to like it, but I really kind of did. It's Beau is Afraid, the latest Ari Aster film starring Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, have you seen it? Are you going to?
No, but I love Joaquin Phoenix,
Again, I can't stress this enough. This is a very polarizing film. I know some people who hate it, some people... I actually haven't met anyone who loved it, but I've met people who liked it, and obviously that's okay if you hate it. That's perfectly fine. If it's not your thing, it's all good. But yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I kind of went into it with sort of expectations. One, that I was either going to hate it or it was going to be polarizing or very weird. It is a weird movie, but I don't know. As someone who's a fan of like David Lynch, it wasn't that weird. I thought everything sort of thematically made sense. I'm like, oh, this odd thing is happening because of this event that happened to the character as a result of this. And I don't know, it felt pretty streamlined, honestly. And yeah, it was good to see on the big screen. Because if anything, even if you don't like it, I think just like as a sort of artist, it's nice to be able to see like, oh, on the big screen at the Cineplex, this film is playing. It's not based on anything else. Well, technically, it's based on a short film by Ari Aster, but it's not a superhero movie. It's like an original idea that was put on the screen for us to see, and I think we can all sort of appreciate that from whatever background.
What is it about?
Man, okay, so it's essentially, I guess I'll give you like the very basic log line, but even that doesn't do it justice because there are layers to it.
Is David Lynch the? Is that who that is? No, I think I'll probably think of somebody else.
I'm gonna bleep out this name just in case I'm wrong. Is it a filmmaker you're thinking?
No. He's like is David Lynch a filmmaker?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm thinking of somebody else.
That's the thing I'm gonna bleep out.
Not. Right. There's another guy. You've heard about.
Oh yes,
yeah. I'm pretty sure it's. Crazy.
Cool. As Aaron ponders, I wish bleep some of that out. But cool. But yeah, Beau is Afraid is essentially Joaquin Phoenix is this very sort of he's this man who is going to go visit his mom, but then things happen that prevent him, and which then leads him on to like this very strange odyssey. I think that's actually a pretty good way of telling it, and then stuff happens. But yeah, just well made and whatnot. And Ari Aster, I think, just a very great director and filmmaker, and dare I say artist. You know, even if you don't really like or respond to his stuff, like personally, I didn't really respond to Midsommar all that much, but
Hated that movie.
yeah, see, there you go. But then some people are like, "What? Midsommar was so much better than Beau is Afraid," but you're recommending Beau is Afraid. Opinions, man, I love it because you know it's all different. But yeah, so Beau is Afraid is my recommendation. Definitely try to see it in theaters because man, it's like 3 hours long. I don't know if I'd have the patience to watch it at home. I need to be in a theater where I can't leave. But yeah, Beau is Afraid is my sixth and final recommendation. And Pat, you want to finish us off? What is your last recommendation?
I'll go with the movie as well. You're a film student, right? Like you.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
yes.
you probably know this movie, Mr. Nobody.
Oh.
I don't know who the director is. I don't know any of that, but.
Is that?
You want me to talk about it?
Yeah, talk about it and let me see if,
basically.
I exposed myself. I was talking about, I'm a film student. I was like, what?
it takes place in like a future, not too far off, maybe like 100 years in the future, something like that. But there is no more humans. So basically, everybody has evolved to be like half animal, half human.
Holy snap.
And there's only one human in existence still. And like this journalist goes and talks to him. He's like 116 years old. He goes and talks to him about his life. He's like, hey, I'd like for you to tell me about your life, like and your experiences like being a human on Earth. And he's telling the story, and he keeps getting it wrong. Like he keeps like saying like, no, when my parents divorced, I went with my dad. No, I actually went with my mom. And it's a whole like play on decisions that we have in life. So it's like he had like chose to stay with his mom instead of his dad, and then like they ended up moving to the city, and like she remarried, and all this stuff happens, and then he chose to stay with his dad, and his dad is an alcoholic, and now he has to suffer through that, and like different ways that he could have died as well. So it's like all these like paths.
Dang.
And it's like it's pretty interesting. Like
Is it a recent movie or is it like older?
I want to say like 2014, something like that.
Okay, dang.
Not too old.
Because immediately when he said that, I thought of like this foreign film, and then I thought of this like music thing.
It is a foreign film. I think it's European. I'm pretty sure it's European.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's like it's slowly coming to me, but well, I'm glad you recommended it because I can check it out. And
It's a good movie.
Are you a big film watcher?
I can appreciate, good film, but I wouldn't say I go out of my way to like seek out, like movies and things like that. So
how'd you come across watching Mr. Nobody?
It was recommended to me by a friend of mine, and it used to be on Hulu, or I think it used to be on HBO Max, and it's no longer on HBO Max. You have to rent it now, so I've only seen it one time. But it definitely like when I watched it, I was like, this is nuts. Like, this is crazy.
Holy.
And I don't know if this is a weird thing that like happens with me sometimes, but like it's like you'll like be watching something and it'll have a date in it, and it's the exact same date as like what is the date in your like presently. Like that happened when I was watching it. It's like, this is nuts. Like this is the whole experience. Like
you look out the window and the camera's just like
the Truman Show.
Yeah, literally.
Man.
That's okay.
Yeah, there they are. No,
Mr. Nobody. That's freaking great.
Yeah.
Check that out. And you brought up HBO Max. This is a little aside for me. Streaming is cool, but don't rely on that stuff, dude. Try to get into physical media. I'm talking about like Blu-rays and all that, just because if you own them, you can watch them, but it's like you never know with streaming, something could get just like taken off.
Yeah,
and
you don't have it.
And sometimes this is very spooky. They can like be re-edited too. So like you think you're watching it, but then it's not the actual cut. But it's a very streaming is cool, but put a little star next to it. Like there's more to that than you think. So just try to rely on physical media.
That's interesting.
Heck yeah. Well, alrighty. Well, that's all 6 recommendations. Thank you so much, Patch, for those amazing recommendations. I can't wait to listen, view, and watch all of them. And yeah, thank you for listening. And I think we're going to take a quick little break, and then when we come back, we're going to look at some of your work. Are you excited for that?
So excited.
Yeah. All right. Cool. The audience is like shaking with excitement. Alrighty, y'all. So stick around. You won't want to miss it. We'll see you in a few seconds. Bye. And we're back. Thank you so much for sticking around. All right, Patch, you haven't escaped. Thank you so much for sticking around with us. Cool. I think we're going to look at some of your work. Are you excited?
I'm so excited.
All right, bet. So break this down for us. So we're gonna look at 4 like paintings, right?
Yep.
2 videos, and then like 2 images that are on like clothing. Yes?
Yep, and then I have 2 pieces of clothing to go with those photos as well.
Ooh, all right, let's do this.
Yep.
Well, without further ado, we'll go ahead and bring up the first painting. Let's check this out right quick.
Ta-da!
Yeah, man. I believe you also have it displayed.
Yeah, that is a print.
That's brilliant. Print as in like, so that's not the original.
That's
right?
not the original. No,
Oh,
these are just like prints that I'll print out that I'll sell. Things like that. Yeah.
Oh man, take the lead, Patch. All right, first off, do you title these 2? When was this? Bam.
So this piece is named "The Flood Could Not Stop My Pain" is the original name of it, and then the like in parentheses you could say like the 3 of Swords or something like that, because that's like the idea of it at least.
Nice.
So it's a watercolor piece. I painted it this past January. I was doing a wholesale event in Dallas, which wholesale would be like me taking my products to like a very big event and like trying to sell like to businesses, like trying to like put my clothing and prints into stores.
Nice.
Basically.
Is that like on the tier of like, you know, local vendors? Is that sort of like a top like sort of
yeah,
S tier?
I
like,
paid $3,000
to be in it? Oh,
yes,
dang.
it's like, well, I paid $1,600 and then I invested around like, you know, $3,000 total, maybe give or take.
Yeah.
But basically, like, the event wasn't what anybody planned on. Like, those people who came in from Canada, those people who came in from, like, New York and, like, California, all this stuff. Like, there's people everywhere. And, like, there just wasn't as many businesses as anyone was anticipating.
Dang.
So we were, like, you know, walking. Everybody that I met there was, like, set up. And it just wasn't as good as we thought it was going to be.
Damn.
Basically.
You think that's one of those like sad realities of the business? Like you kind of
Yeah,
like take your chance?
yeah,
and
it was a risk, man, and it's like, I'm glad I did it because I learned a lot, and it was also like, you know, I was pretty sad actually after it happened, like because I had put that much money into it, and that was the most money I've ever invested in like one thing before, and like I got one sale, so like I wasn't too sad, and it was like it was an order for basically body piercing store in Temple, Texas. So it's
Temple,
like,
Texas,
yeah, Temple, Texas.
Okay.
So shout out Under My Skin.
Hey, shout out. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, so I made some clothing for them. But yeah, so this piece I had like drawn during that time. Like while I was like sitting there, I like sketched it out and everything. And like, I don't know, I think I drew the heart. Like the idea came to me, like the swords like through the heart. Like, and then there was actually these gay guys that were like across from me from California, and I feel
They're
like
in the wholesale.
yeah, they were selling bracelets. Stratus Wristwear is their name, but
man, I would repeat that, but I feel like I'm like you pronounce that flawlessly though. Great.
yeah, but I feel like they kind of inspired the rainbow a little bit. But I mean, it's kind of like the way I view it is like, there's, you know, swords going through a heart, it's painful, but like you've got this eye kind of looking through that, he's like looking directly through you, and then you got, you know, the rainbow over the top, and you have like this balancing out this at the top, and like that's what the idea of the flood, like the biblical story of the
Yeah,
flood.
yeah. I was about to. There was like a religious thing. That
yeah,
just sort of spoke to me.
yeah. So I'm a Christian, but not like a.
Yeah. As people like, oh, so you believe all are going to hell? Like,
Yeah, no,
I'm the same way.
nothing like that. Just, you know, love others, and yeah. So like that story, like at the end of the flood, like God says, you know, I will not do another flood, and the symbol that I will show for that is a rainbow. So that was like also kind of played into like the idea of the name behind that this piece. I don't know why naming my pieces are such a big deal to me, but they are.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's about like a painful time, but seeing through it, and, like, getting through it.
And I want to ask you, because so you know, you described some meaning for, you know, like the two, you know, the couple and you know the biblical stuff. And do you like when people like analyze your work, are you open to that? Is it sometimes like where you? And do you like giving answers? Do you leave it a little more open, or how? Like as an artist, like does it?
It fluctuates.
Okay.
It definitely like fluctuates. Sometimes I'll be more vulnerable in situations. Sometimes I won't want to be. Sometimes I'll like, because like saying like, just the name of it alone, it's like the flood couldn't stop my pain. That's pretty intense. Like that's pretty intense word or title. So it's like I won't always say that. I'll say, this is the Three of Swords. That's why I had three. And the Three of Swords is a tarot card as well. So, and I didn't even know that it was a tarot card until after I drew it and painted it, and everybody was like, "Oh, this is Three of Swords." I was like, "Yeah, it's Three of Swords." Like, yeah.
What is Three of Swords?
So I had an idea of it, but I didn't know for a fact. But Three of Swords, I believe, and I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong about this.
We'll correct it in post if need be.
It plays into like the same idea. It's like pain, but you're trying to get through it. It's like the idea of it. I'm pretty sure.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Tell me about the construction, because this is like a magnificent piece. Like, oh my gosh, and this is just the first one, man. We're gonna look at a lot more. But I mean, break it down for me. Like, obviously, it's a very vivid, like saturated. Like the colors are great. Is color something you're often working with?
Oh,
is it usually colorful like this?
I typically really like a lot of color in my pieces. I have a couple of monochromatic pieces in here as well. But yeah, I typically like a lot of color. And like I like for there to be a pop, which is also like why I like bleach clothing and things like that, because it's like a difference in like a color, black to orange, or pink to white, or something like that. Like I've always liked color and like things that pop.
Heck yeah, this definitely pops. Oof. And so tell me, so you said you're at the event and you're sketching this idea.
Yeah, I sketched it, and then like it was so dead. Like there was like not that many people walking around. But, like I actually started like drawing it out on like the watercolor paper during the event, during the wholesale event. Yeah.
And is that typical process of you? Like you sketch it out. Do you ever just like outright start like painting and whatnot? And
typically no. Typically, I'll like sketch something out, get an idea of it, and then modify that idea even more, and then like try and work on it for a little while, because I don't want to just go with like the first idea. This was actually just the first idea I had. Yeah. But it just felt right in that moment. Sometimes it's a big feeling thing for me. Like I feel like I can kind of know when I need to stop working a piece, or when like I can take it to the actual canvas or watercolor paper or whatever, right? Okay. Big on feeling, big on like, does this feel right, and trusting that instinct.
Okay, groovy. And with this, like, how did it evolve at all from that initial sketch? Like, does it become more once you're sketching, like, oh, that thing I thought was going to work on this tiny sketch, now that I'm putting it into like this different form, it's different. Like, is there any sort of translation that happens or transformation during the process?
Yeah, so like sometimes I'll run with like different ideas. If like I'm in the moment of painting and like an idea comes and I really like it and it feels right, I will follow that. And that's like letting, I don't know, man. Like I feel like I'm just used as like a muse sometimes in like what I'm creating. And I feel like people feel this differently. Like I feel like some people are like, abstract artists, it's very like you're in the moment. Like it's very like, yeah. And I have a friend who's an artist as well, and he's talked to me about he hears voices. Like,
he's good.
He smokes a lot of weed.
Shout out.
But yeah, like I feel like it happens for me in the way that like I don't hear voices or anything like that. It's like, okay, this is like I have an idea. I like this better than my original idea. I think I'm going to follow this.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And I want to ask about, so, you say like, you put emotion into it. And I guess it's a sort of two-part question. So, so I'll ask this question first. How long did this take, and what's like the average? Like, is that, because something like, as someone who doesn't paint, I see this, I'm like, okay, so that took like 6 years?
This one probably took me like 30-ish hours with everything put together into it. It just depends on the piece. A lot of times I like to keep it under 40 hours. If you think like, what is 40 hours? Like, that's a work week.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah. So if like I was, working 8 hours a day on a painting, I should have the painting done every week. Does not happen. Like I should paint every day, but I definitely don't. And it's like, I actually drew last night. I've just been so busy with other things that I haven't had time.
Life.
Yeah, but Yeah. So like 30-ish, 40 hours. Like I think the piece after this one is like 40 hours.
Nice. And I guess before we get to the next piece, what I want to ask about this painting and, just your work in general, like putting emotion into it. Obviously you do it in sessions, right? And is it ever hard to like revisit something, like, if you're feeling strongly about it and then on a day you're not, are you still able to like continue working on it? Or like, is that hard for you to like tap back into? Like, cause for example, like I'm a musician. Sometimes I'll be in a moment like, just like jamming with riffs, and I'll revisit that riff and I'm just not feeling it. I'm like, oh,
Time to move forward, yeah.
Yeah, does that happen at all with you?
It does. I try to finish all the pieces that I create, but there's definitely been pieces in the past that I am just not passionate about, and I'm just really like forcing myself to like.
So you still like push through, you don't like abandon it?
Yeah. I don't like to do that. I used to do that a lot as an early artist, but if I have an idea, I typically want to see it through to the end. Like I want to flesh it out. I want to like be like, okay, this is why I had this idea, and I feel like that normally pays off, actually. Like, I feel like that normally, like, if anything, like, I have a new art piece. So it's like, because it's like, I have a lot of art, but I've also been painting for like 8 years. So like, but I'm not like, Picasso, I think, has like, thousands and thousands of paintings and with like, and sculptures and just all this stuff and pottery, and it's I don't work in that same way. And like, I think different artists work differently, and I think this is just how I work. And maybe like in the future when I'm like financially stable and things like that, I can have more time to like just focus on just painting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I will pretty much, if I start something, I want to finish it. Like I said, like I'm doing that jungle scene right now, but I also want to paint like a dove. And like that's like big on my brain right now. It's like, do I not? Because I had started this piece like prior to this past month, and I was super busy like during all April, and like didn't have time to like draw really.
You're talking about this piece? Or the jungle?
The jungle piece.
Oh, got you.
Yeah. I had like, during April, I was like thinking about this dove piece. And then like, I was like, well, let me just like, last night I was like, let me just draw a little bit. Like, let me just try and do this jungle piece a little bit more. And I was like, okay, I'm feeling it. Like, I'm feeling it. So like, yeah.
Dang, man, it's already May. Oof. I was like, what do you mean April? Why are you so? I was like, oh, it's May.
Yeah, pretty
cool.
crazy.
Well, any last comments on this painting before we go on?
I think I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, if you're good, we're good.
We're
good, they're good.
You did ask about like the idea of like me like switching things up. These were originally supposed to be clouds, but I liked them to be like spiky things. I don't know why.
Nice.
It's kind of like, somebody said this to me whenever I was it kind of hit deep when I was talking to them about it. They're like, she's like, it's like they're like scars. So it's like, oh my god, like, because it's like a very painful piece, and it's like I remember the first time I presented this piece, I was shocked because like I was like, I don't know if I can talk about this. Like it was just like I don't know, just a deeper piece. I didn't know how to talk about it, and I think it hurt immediately.
Did the audience's reception sort of not change what you thought of it, but like sort of like pronounce it a little more to you?
That does happen.
That was nice.
That definitely does happen. I love to get different perspectives and see things through other people's eyes. Yeah.
And there's that one person who just like completely misconstrues, and you're like, what? Like, I'm gonna rise again. I'm gonna start a cult. Like what?
Yeah, it's like, hey, bro, you do you.
Right, cool. Well, thank you so much. And one more time, what's the title of this?
The flood couldn't stop my pain.
And then parentheses.
3 of Swords.
All right, perfect, beautiful, and it's right there too. Are you ready to move on to the next one?
I am.
All right, cool.
Take this one down.
Check out the next one right quick.
Then let me put this one up.
Ooh, wee.
So
lot to break down here.
Yeah.
First up, we got that right there.
It's tiny. It's little print, but
beautiful. Oh man. All right, cool. We'll break this down. Firstly, name of this piece.
Drive.
Not to be confused with the hit film starring Ryan Gosling, but Drive by Patch. All right. Well, date on. I noticed is that a 22 year 22. So last year.
Yep. It was like November, December of last year.
Okay, groovy.
So yeah.
And was there a lot of like emotion put into this? Is it something you can look at and remember like, oh, I was going through this or that?
Yeah, this is kind of like a staple kind of piece for me a little bit, because I don't typically paint myself or paint people or anything like that. But
so this individual right here on the hood of the car is you?
That is me.
Nice.
That is me. I'm wearing the same shoes.
Oh yeah,
like,
man.
As in the painting.
So in that case, what was the frame of reference for it? Were you just going off the cuff? Did you take a picture? Were you?
I got my roommate to take a picture of me sitting on my car. He's a good guy.
It sounds like a good guy.
Yeah, like, he puts up with, I'm an artist. Like, I be doing some weird stuff sometimes. But yeah, you want me to just dive in and talk about it?
Yeah. Well,
sure.
I guess I can throw a little question, sort of, and then you can start off with it.
Okay.
So, what is the main difference between the last one and this one?
So the last one was watercolor. This one is an oil painting.
That's what I was trying to get it, because I wasn't smart enough. I was like, is this oil painting? I was like, cool, you said it.
Yeah. So that is the difference. Whereas this one, I mean, it's kind of surrealist right now. I don't know. I used to say like impressionist and it's surreal, and like to my professor, and he would be like, "You don't know what that means," and I would be like, "I don't even know what that means. I guess I don't know what it means." Like, but yeah, it's. You want me to just go through it? Like,
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with, and yeah, I'll moderate it.
For sure. So it's my car. It's a Acura 3.5 RL. It's my baby. She has gotten me to a lot of events, taken me on a lot of things, and made it so I could get from point A to point B in many circumstances, and I am very grateful for her. So I wanted to have a piece about this car because I wanted to look back in the future and be like, I remember this car, and like I remember like being in this car, and like, so whenever I go to events, I have to load up all of my stuff in my car.
That can't be easy.
Ooh, it's like playing Tetris. Like, it's a process, and I literally like, I have so much stuff when I go from event to event. All of my back seat is filled, all of my trunk is filled, and the passenger seat is filled.
Damn, bro, yeah.
So it's a grind. I love it.
Every time you come to a stop, everything's like, whoosh.
Yeah, it happens. I think people think I'm homeless sometimes. It's okay.
Struggle of an artist. It's all good.
Doesn't matter. So yeah, my roommate took the picture. These cars were like in the background. That's my roommate's truck actually, and then there was a U-Haul sitting on our street. The original idea was just to have me sitting on my car, and then like clouds around it, and it would be like floating in space. So it was like, I don't know about that. So like I said, I kind of just went with it in the moment. And so I drew those cars in, I drew all that stuff in, and I was like trying to take a video, but my phone had died just for Instagram, like stories or something like that. And I was looking into my computer, like I was trying to take a video on my laptop, like the FaceTime thing. And like I was like just messing around, like just moving my hands and things like that. But I had, so basically like to draw all my stuff, like I'll project images onto a canvas and then I'll draw it in to make it easier than like me just trying to go off rip and like trace everything, because that's just way too time consuming. Yeah. And like as I was doing that, like I was like messing around, moving my hands, and I noticed like my hands are like projecting onto it. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. Like I think I'm gonna draw my hands in there. So drew my hands in there, and this is like the figure of my head that I drew in there as well. So the way I kind of look at it is like this hand is like reaching for the U-Haul, like it's like reaching to escape a little bit. It's like, wanting to go somewhere else. And this hand's like getting run over, so you got this like, a pain, but like also wanting to like reach to like go somewhere else. Like during this time, I really wanted to get out of Denton. I don't really think like that anymore. I really like Denton, and I'm really like
shout out Denton.
Shout out Denton, Texas.
Heck yeah, bro.
Go Eagles.
Hey, Talons.
Yeah. So, and I mean like the background, my head, supposed to be kind of like a figure. It's like, got dark and light in a sense.
Heck yeah, it's a very nicely, like sort of blocking the way your head is. It's the back of your head, correct? It's not your.
It was just a silhouette.
Silhouette.
Like, yeah, it's just like silhouette.
And I want to ask, like, so obviously there are literal layers to this, right? You got the car, then behind that is the figure, then behind that is this land and whatnot. And how do you do that? How do you like layer these? Like, what did you start with, and how did you like work around it? Like, because that seems like so difficult to me. It's like you're putting all these things together, like, and it's like seamless and whatnot.
So the way you're supposed to do it is like supposed to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like you're supposed to like paint it kind of all at once and build it up layer by layer. I don't really paint like that. Like
Alpha.
my professor used to get mad at me and say like, you will paint faster if you do it like this. And I was like, I'm trying. like it just didn't click with me. I like painting things individually. I like to see, like, I'm pretty sure like I painted like the grass first and the sky. The reason why he says that is because the paint will dry and then like I'll paint over it. I won't be able to like work it in and then it won't look exactly right. But it's like, I'll just paint over it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it worked. So like, I think I'm all right.
Gotcha.
But there's just, there's ways to do things that are probably better, and I just haven't like adopted those ways yet.
Hey, but the results are still pretty good,
Yeah, for sure.
So good. And you've exhibited this. I'm pretty sure that's the right word to use, right? Like, you've shown it off like this. You've had it like displayed and shown.
Yeah, I have it at like whenever I go out and vend and things like that. I'll have like prints like this of it at those places.
I feel like this is something that could really resonate with people in their 20s. It's that sort of weird. It's like you're an adult. You're not like wise yet. You're still learning, and so it's just very like.
Absolutely.
Because just watching it, I mean, like I'm, kind of like that too. Where sometimes, I just want to leave Denton too and just get away for a while.
Yeah.
But then there's something homely about it. So this is very resonant, I feel. And like, have you found that to be true? Like, with people who respond to it, like. Because I imagine maybe there's something where if they see something like the first painting where it's like this all like, oh, this is great, but then maybe this becomes like more personal to them, like the response is more intimate as opposed to it just being like an overall thing.
Yeah.
Have you noticed it with this painting?
Absolutely. I think that sometimes people will come in and they'll say, and this goes for a lot of different pieces that I've done, but like different pieces resonate with different people differently. But yes, like I've seen people resonate with this. My cousin actually came in recently. He goes to UNT. Shout out Jacob.
Hey, shout out Jacob. Shout out cousin Jacob.
Shout out cousin Jacob. He came in and he was looking at all of them. And he's like, I want that one, and I was like, I respect it. Yeah, because it's like I'm kind of like sad. Like I'm like, even my roommate was kind of like, I kind of feel for the guy.
Honestly, there's so much to break down.
Yeah.
And do you? First, like at your home, your residence, do you like have these like with you? Like, do you like just like curiosity?
Where is this one right now? Do I have this one?
It's like above.
Oh yeah, it's in my living room. It's like sometimes like I'll have them in shows and things like that. So this one is in my living room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Well, absolutely phenomenal work. And so same typical like 30, 40 hours about duration.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe a little longer for this one. This one probably took me a little longer. Yeah.
Nice, I dig it. And just sort of last thing, and then we'll move on to the next one. So obviously this is you. This is you, like all the way through. Are you often reflected in your work? Like do you become? You said you're vulnerable, so do you put yourself like that? Yeah.
I do. It's normally at a level that like I don't want to be like the main focus of it. It's normally at a level that it's like, how can I be discreet as possible without being blunt? Like I want it to be, it's like I want it to be blunt, but I also want it to be, I don't want like the viewer to get it like right off the bat. Like I want people to have like a connection to my art that is their own and not mine.
Yeah.
Like I don't want people to like have like a oh, this is like because he felt like this at this certain time. It's like, no, I see this. This is what I see. This is how I feel. Like,
it's sort of metaphorically. It's like they're in your house, but you're not seen. But like, it's within your home, right? So like they're filling you or whatever, but they're not necessarily seeing you.
So a lot of times, like I don't do this as much anymore. But especially when I used to display my art in like my real art at shows and things like that. People would ask me what they meant, and I said, "What do you see?" Like, what? Because like,
they're like, "Oh."
Yeah, and people get nervous. And it's like, no, there's no wrong answers. Like, there's no wrong answers at all. Like, I want to know, because that's how, like, at least in my mind, like, I feel like that's how painting should be like viewed. Like, you should have a connection with it that is your own and not mine, because
Definitely.
I have my own connection with it, but I want you to have a connection with it.
Oh, definitely. And just curious, like, friends, family, do they, obviously, like, them knowing you versus like a stranger and whatnot, do you notice like differences between like the types of audiences you have? Like,
For sure.
Okay, groovy. And does that, does your work ever happen to where like someone feels like they know you, they're like, oh, I know Patch now because based off of this work? And do you think that's like a valid thing to do to an artist? Like, feel like you just can like decode them based off of their work? That's a very loaded question.
I don't feel like that has happened to me. No, I don't feel like somebody has ever been like, I know you,
Just like
because
me
of
for
your
real.
art. But that it could happen. Like, I'm sure it's happened to other artists before.
Yeah.
Um,
So that was a very loaded question.
That'd be interesting. That would be interesting. I feel like, because it is me, right? Like, it is a piece of me.
Yeah.
But like, it's not the full version of me. So I would never want somebody to assume like this is like, oh, I know this person because of this. It's like I feel like if you're a musician or a director, like, you are putting a piece of your heart into whatever you create, but like, that's not the full you.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can't assume this person is just like this. And I think that's like whenever you have like celebrities and things like that, who like, they get hounded by people and like, oh my God, like, I know you. And these people are like, no, you don't. Like, you don't know me. You just know my music.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that answer. It's beautiful because that's something that all artists face or whatever.
Yeah.
And well, thank you so much. Any closing comments on this piece? And remind me the title. Drive.
Yeah, very simple title. And it was like the idea that like, I wasn't able to move forward in that moment of time. At least in my head, I felt like I wasn't driving because I'm sitting on top of my car. I'm not in my car.
Someone like steals me, like peels like, oh shit. All right, cool. Thank you so much. You ready for you to go to the next one?
Yep, I'm ready. Estoy listo.
Oh Lord, have mercy.
The mushroom.
Mushroom. Cool. While you bring that up there, is that the title of this piece?
It's called Mushrooms Are Down to Earth.
Mushrooms Are Down to Earth. All right, groovy.
That is the name of the title.
Well, bang. All right, first off, so this is oil painting?
This is another oil painting.
Heck yeah. All right, I'm learning. I'm learning, folks. It is possible.
Monochromatic oil painting. You know what monochromatic means?
Like, not color.
One color.
One color?
Yeah.
Oh.
Mono.
Oh, mono. Hey,
Yeah.
I was about to say like monopod. Cool.
Yep. So
All right, cool. And you went into that with the monochromatic. Was that like your top objective, or?
this is a assignment actually for
Oh.
painting one with Jim Burton. Shout out Jim Burton.
Not to be confused with Tim Burton. of
No,
course.
no, they might be related. They might. The assignment was to paint a still life of any picture you want. It couldn't be a human, it couldn't be like a person, I believe, but just paint a still life, and it has to be monochromatic. And I was like, well, mushrooms are cool, mushrooms are down to earth.
Literally. Yeah.
I'm going to paint a mushroom.
Nice.
So
And did you have like, was this like top of your head? Did you have a frame of reference? Like,
I did have a frame of reference, yeah. So I found an image on Pinterest actually that I
Oh,
really liked.
shout out Pinterest.
Shout out Pinterest.
And that kind of brings up a good thing. So you said this was an assignment, right?
Yeah.
And so there's obviously like school and then like yourself. Do you notice a difference in how you approach things? Like, do you still have that like, emotion getting it? Like, do you feel constricted?
I'm
or?
a big believer in vulnerability, man. Like, just like be yourself, be who you are in the moment. Obviously not hurting anybody else or anything like that.
Yes.
Or yourself. But yeah, it's just like, I'm gonna paint a mushroom. And I felt like it was comfortable. I was comfortable to do that. And I didn't feel like I was gonna be judged for it. My professor loved it. Like, I'm pretty sure this
I'm
is
not
like,
surprised. This is.
yeah.
I hesitate to say beautiful because it's so much more than that, and I'm not smart enough to have like a full vocabulary like to describe it. But just know I think it's great.
Thank you, Aaron.
All
I
of these,
appreciate
actually.
that. Yeah. My favorite description that somebody had of it was like, everything else around it is kind of like moving, like it's like this, like it's moving, and like, but the mushroom is firm.
It's
It's like
the mushroom rolls off.
Yeah, the mushroom is in the middle.
There is a strength to it. It is great. Like, I mean, so when someone brings up something like that, like, was there any intention for that? Because obviously, like, the background is clearly like hectic, right? And the mushroom is like standstill.
Well, that's how Van Gogh painted a lot. Yeah, that's how like Van Gogh painted in a way that was very like everything was kind of like moving, and like it was kind of like you look at a painting and there would be like squiggles, like different paint strokes that would like move around. So I've done that in here, and different areas. Yeah, so like that, like a lot of my painting style does come from Van Gogh because my mom was an art teacher, like I said.
Is that your favorite painter, Van Gogh?
Yeah.
Top five.
Yeah, he is. Man, like I don't know. He is. He definitely is. But
Shout out Vincent.
Shout out Vincent.
He's like, hey yo.
Yeah, my boy Vincent, my boy Vinny. Yeah, he's just like I said. My mom was an art teacher. So like I grew up looking at the greats. Like I grew up looking at Vincent Van Gogh, Georgia O'Keeffe, Frida Kahlo, like Bob Ross. That didn't happen until later. But yeah, it is definitely an influence on my style, big time.
Nice.
So yeah.
And that you having influences such as Van Gogh or Frida, the others you've listed. When you started painting, that was I'm going to start with myself, or did you sort of like go off of their work and then your style developed, or was your style like sort of its own thing first, if that makes sense?
They had an impression on my style.
They did.
And then I kind of, that's how like, I feel like that's how anybody is though.
You start with what you know and then you
you see somebody that you like and you kind of imitate them in a way, and then you find yourself.
Did nice.
Yeah,
I dig that.
Yeah.
And speaking of the strokes, so like when you paint something like this, so obviously the background is one way, the mushroom, is that intentional? Meaning like you kind of want the viewer's eye to like lead to the mushroom and sort of not negate, but like like this is what draws you first, and then it pulls back. Like, is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's like a process to reviewing. It's awesome.
For sure. Like I came in, because the background and everything was in full definition as well. Like everything was in full definition. But that's not the focus. That's not what I want you to look at. Like I want you to look at the mushroom. That's what I want you to look at. Like so like the background is just complementing the foreground. Whereas like this has much more form. Much more form. And this is like less form. Like it's more like, okay, there's a little bit of black over here. And then it's like a little like lighter color. So let me like do a little lighter color. This was so I mixed blue, yellow, and red to make like a blackish color. Is what
blue, yellow, and red. Okay,
yeah, all the primaries. And then
blue, yellow, red.
Yep. So
nice. Is that your signature, by the way, on the bottom right?
That is my signature.
Cool.
It's 2020.
2020 day.
Yeah. During the pandemic.
Yo, this feels like 2020.
Yeah, probably for a lot of people.
Like it hits a little different now.
It's funny. I had just gotten back from Ruidoso, New Mexico when I painted it. Yeah.
And talking about the mushroom itself, because I mean, how can we not? Because it's the focus. So you got an image off of Pinterest. Now, is this like an exact side by side, or like did you add any little, like aside from like the chromatic color, like did you, like as far as like the visual look of it, like the texture, like these, very disturbing, like
they're water droplets.
Water droplets. Okay, thank God. I thought they were something else.
What do you think they were?
I don't know, like a tumor. Like
it's mushroom sick.
Right? But like so like, do you add stuff to the mushroom, like this picture, or did you pretty much paint it exactly how it was?
I pretty much painted it, exactly how it was. Other than like I said, the high definition background was not in high definition in my painting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so yeah, obviously you paint this, and then I always find it fascinating because this is in a class, and it's one of those things like, how do you grade an assignment?
Yeah.
I mean, if something's like complete ass, then obviously give that a 0. But you open to and obviously your mom's an art teacher, so you have that background of like knowing to be in a classroom setting.
Yeah.
And you find that like beneficial to like have that sort of educational background, or is it sort of like whatever your background is, you can make it work?
You can definitely make it work under whatever circumstances you're in. I'm a big believer in that. As long as you have faith. But say the question again.
What was the question? Oh yeah. So do you like look at your educational background or anybody's background? Do you find like having gone through that, like it's been for the best, right?
Oh,
It didn't like constrict you at all, or
no. And I know some people talk about it constricting them. But I was blessed to have good professors who really only one professor because I got a minor, and it was like just classes, like all 4 painting classes that I took, like I had the same exact professor. Shout out Jim Burton. I'm glad that I have that. I'm glad that I was able to have that so that I could like develop more form into my pieces, because it only added to me as an artist. Like, I mean, if like you can definitely like do it on your own, but like having form and having an understanding of like perspective and just different art terminology, different art things. It's like, I don't know all the words for it, but like I know it. You know what I mean? Like I know how a painting is supposed to look in my mind with form. And I think that's important. Like,
no, definitely.
Yeah,
the wise words of Francis Ford Coppola, director of The Godfather. You have to know the rules so you can break the rules.
Yes.
Thus he made The Godfather one of the greatest films of all time.
Absolutely, absolutely. So.
Okay, great. Well, lovely piece. And this was a school assignment, but I assume you've like displayed it, vended it. Is that the right verb?
Yeah. No, I've had this piece in galleries before, and then of course like these are my prints, like I said, that I sell, and like they're on display at my events.
Yeah, okay.
So,
yeah. Awesome. And one more time, the title of this was?
Mushrooms Are Down to Earth.
That's so alpha. All right, cool. Well, any closing comments on this before we move on to the next one?
Nope.
You thought about it for a second. You're like, eh.
Shout out mushrooms.
All right, cool. All right, cool. Well, we're going to move on to the 4th and last painting. Good God.
Another monochromatic piece.
All right, cool. Well, the first title.
Out of the darkness and into the light.
Out of darkness and light. That's badass. Oh, well, the first thing, obviously, I guess I see the cross, obviously. You say you're Christian and whatnot. And so, did this stem from a religious thing?
It did.
Nice.
I was like, as a reference, I was looking at old Renaissance paintings. So like,
I get that.
Yeah, the frescoes that they would paint at the top of Sistine Chapel and different churches and things like that. That's where this piece was like came from, but I didn't want it to like just be light. So like I added, darkness as well. Or like the idea of like, something that might be dark, depending on who you are. But yeah, I mean, the whole idea of it is like coming out of a bad place into a good one. So you have, this is hell, earth, sky, heaven.
Nice.
So.
That's really great. This is actually very beautiful. Thank you. I might purchase this from you.
Okay.
If you have a print, you guys. But okay, well, yeah. How often do you incorporate like your religious beliefs into your work? Is it often?
Pretty frequently. Pretty frequently. I don't want to ever do it to a point to where like it would make somebody who is not a Christian uncomfortable, because that's not why I'm doing it.
Yeah,
like,
no, exactly.
I'm not doing this to push my beliefs upon anybody. I'm doing this because this is who I am. Like this is like my faith, and it's not all about that either. It's about my experience more than anything.
Yeah.
And like I've been in like bad situations that I feel like God has helped me out of them, or like I've come out of them, and like and I'm sure everybody like for the most part has like stories of like being in a situation that was bad and then coming out of it and coming into the light and coming out of the darkness into the light. So it's the idea of it, and yeah.
So what do you start with this? Do you start with like with this particular one? Do you start with the black background and paint that on top, or did you have this and like, oh, I want to come out a little bit and like put a black background? Like how was that?
So with this piece, I had gone through a couple of different sketches. the idea first, like the first idea was like 2 different doorways and like stairways going up, and then like hell and heaven. But with this one, I sketched it out, and I was like, "Yep, this is the sketch. This is what I'm doing." So I started on the outside. So the outside is actually India ink, which is like the blackest black that you can get out of a medium. So I did that, and then the center color is indigo blue, also monochromatic. It's all the same color: black, white, indigo blue, and gray. Nice. But I don't think those.
I'm learning so much about monochromatic.
Yeah. So what was the question? No, I mean I think I answered it.
No, you answered it perfectly. You answered it more than enough, and obviously it's great. It's a very chilling sight because downward cross is spooky.
No, yeah, super spooky.
As a Catholic, or I'm in the same boat. Well, I identify as Catholic, but like I don't really like
Same.
Same. You know how it is.
Yeah. My dad was Catholic.
Gotcha. And, and this is water painting.
Watercolor.
Oh, watercolor. Oh, water painting. Okay, cool. And then when was this?
2020 as well.
2020. Dang.
So Mushroom was painted in like September, or October of 2020, whereas this one was painted in January.
Damn, so much hope. And then you like flip it, like where the stairway's going.
Yeah, right after that, just 2 months later.
Okay, that's great. And this painting looks like it could be so much more than just a painting. It looks like, well, all your works actually looks like it'd be an album cover, shirt, which I guess we'll get to that a little later. Yeah. But just more so, when you paint these, like specifically this one, was it just it's gonna be a painting? Like, could you see it being anything more than that? Like. You're like on the spot, like, I guess it could be
I always, wanted it to put my art on clothes, and that didn't come until a little later. That came after this piece as well. But yeah, that was I've always wanted to put my art on clothes. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, but no, I never saw it as an album cover. I have tough time doing things like that, especially like with art that I've created, and people being like, "Oh, I want this to do this because I feel like this." And I mean, I would have to hear the music, you know what I mean? Like it'd have to really resonate with me for me to do something like that. And that's not I don't mean that to be selfish, at all.
No, that's being authentic.
That's just how I feel. I'm not just gonna give away my stuff because you want it.
Yeah, I respect that.
Yeah, but I'd be open to making things for people. If you have an idea, we can go together, create a vision, things like that, the girl.
Aaron makes a note of that.
The girl who wanted me to paint shoes for her. She was I was like, okay, well, what do you want? What do you want me to paint for you? And she's like, I don't know. You just do whatever you want in your style. And it's you don't want me to do that, because just something crazy. I was I want them to be personalized to you, I was like, okay, well, what are you into? And she was like, I'm into zodiac signs, I'm into crystals, I'm into witchy things. And I was like, okay, what's your zodiac sign? She's like, Aquarius. I was like, all right, boom, Aquarius shoes. And just
cool.
Base them around that. So.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it was a little anecdote we share. I was asking Patch, I've been commissioned, and and then the woman, while she was walking to you, were doing it. That's great. Tell me about this. Obviously, looking at this, and obviously post, I'll maximize this. So you got the little details of the trees and whatnot, and how, well, first of all, very precious. I don't mean that in precious, but very, and is that the small details? Because obviously we've seen the mushroom and the the swords one where it's very big, but this, it's getting down to the nitty gritty and whatnot. And is that hard? Is that
I love it.
Is that okay? If you have to pick a favorite or something where
I love detail.
Detail. Okay.
I love just getting lost in the smallest thing.
Yeah.
I can I remember the first watercolor class I ever had. My professor was making fun of me. It was this girl painting this huge thing or something like that, and I was right next to her, and I was painting blades of grass, just tiny little blades, and she's like, you're just painting blades of grass right now.
Oh, man.
So
that's how you do it.
Yeah.
So with those details, like they usually come like after you're done and then you go in, or like do they ever like start, or
one at a time? Just like for this piece, it was like the outside edge, the mountains, and this little tree. So this little tree connects to, there's like a little thing right there. It's like skull and crossbones, if you can see it.
Skull and crossbones.
It's like the shape of a skull, and then it's like, I don't know, it's underneath this cloud. It's right there. It's literally right there.
Oh,
I don't know if you can see it.
We'll get the higher resolution. And we'll do it. Nice.
This is a silly little reference I did. But yeah, it's like from outside, mountains, sky, doorway, clouds, all of that.
I love the doorway. I just noticed, correct me if I'm wrong, like, so it looks like there's an actual like texture. Is that like just like the canvas you were painting?
That was the paper.
Hey, that's really cool. Add something to it though.
I didn't add anything to it. Yeah, I remember presenting it in class and somebody being like, it looks like there's something in there. And I was like,
yeah, sure. Is it gonna get my grade higher? Yeah, then yeah, there's something in there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely, there's something everywhere, right? I don't know.
Awesome, very beautiful painting. I absolutely love it. And I imagine your family like owns like like all of your paintings, right? Like this. Oh,
they own some of them.
I'd be if I was your family member, I'd proudly display this. Like,
yeah,
pray for this each time.
I still own this one. This one's hanging above my bed, actually.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I was like the perfect place. Sounds like the perfect place to have this.
It's about this size too. It's like it might be like exactly this size. It's a big piece. Like this is a bigger one. Yeah. So
Okay,
it's like 46 by 24. I want to say something like 24 by 46. Yeah.
Dang. All right, cool. Well, last question, then we'll move on to like some little videos. So you mentioned, like, your religion and the idea, like, obviously you don't want to like be imposing your beliefs on anyone, right? You're just like, like but when you show this like to an audience, is that like something that like happens invariably? Like people feel that way, or like have you had good experiences where they can just appreciate the art?
I think people
not just psychoanalyze you.
Yeah, I think people just appreciate the art. Really, I've only feel like I've had like one bad like occurrence with somebody who was viewing my art, and they were Christian.
Oh,
they were questioning me. They were like, "Why do you believe this? You believe this? Why is this like this?" And I'm like, "Chill. I'm a human being."
Get out of my bathroom.
Like, yeah. So she's really just trying to give me the rundown on like what I was doing, and I think eventually she actually opened up and was like, "Oh, this guy is like, he's serious. Like he's this is who he is." And I've never had somebody like, and I treat people the way that I feel like I would want to be treated. Like
the golden rule, treat others.
The golden rule, yeah. So it's never like a pressured thing. It's never a you should be like this, because at the end of the day, everybody knows how they should be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So.
Well, absolutely phenomenal. Wise words too, my friend. That's awesome. Okay, so one more time, this title was, or the name of this piece was?
Out of the Darkness into the Light.
Beautiful. All right, well, cool. That does it with the paintings. You ready to move on to the little videos?
I am.
All right, man, let's check out these videos. We'll check out the first one real quick.
This is a segue.
You got soft hands, brother. You got soft hands. You ain't never worked a day in your goddamn life. 85 hours a motherfucking day. I'm on my goddamn motherfucking on my job.
Fun fact, that voice belongs to like a 13-year-old. First thing, this is TikTok.
This is TikTok, yeah. The creator 3Patch on TikTok.
Follow.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, well, cool. So, very active on TikTok. Yeah.
I have a goal to make 7 TikToks a week.
Oh, my. Per day, okay.
Yeah, one a day.
Nice. So, well, tell me about this. Obviously, breaking down the video itself, there's that very rude, to put it lightly, voice, speaking over the work. Is that intentional? Was it supposed to be, like, oh, they don't know what I actually go through when I'm making this?
Yeah, I mean, nobody really ever knows, right? Yeah, I just thought that it was a funny voice and a funny video. So, fun fact, this video blew up, had 1.8 million views on TikTok. But it was really because, like I said, people's reaction when I say I bleach shirts with a weed eater and print my art onto clothing all day long. I thought what I was using was a weed eater.
Oh yeah, we'll find out.
I didn't know what a weed eater was. I'm not saying that wasn't a weed eater, because I feel like it plays into my thing, but like, Yeah, basically people were commenting like, that's not a weed eater, that's not a weed eater, that's not a weed eater. Yeah, and it was like, I watched this video 4 times only to realize there is no weed eater in this video.
1.8 million views.
1.8 million
1
views.
million of those were just comments saying that.
Yeah, so it took off, but go ahead.
Nice. Well, so Groove, asking about that, because, like, arts or whatever, there is a sort of, I don't think it's really around that much. It's only, like, in certain, like, settings. A stigma, like, oh, art, like, that's what you're doing. Like, I mean, so you don't want to make money, ha, ha, ha. Like, fun fact, I remember when I'm going to bleep out the name or whatever, but when I graduated, I love, like, even, like, as a liberal arts degree, media arts, the first thing the said was, like, okay, now I know you aren't really expecting to make money. It's like, bro.
Jeez.
During the graduation
Are
ceremony.
you kidding me?
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
Like, this was during the ceremony.
Golly, man.
And, like, so, there is, so obviously, like, this is a humorous video, but that is, like, a stigma that exists or whatever. Like, oh, and I don't know, like, do you find, maybe not your daily life, but, like, do you, like, feel that sort of aura sometimes where people are maybe just, here in Denton, I doubt it, because, it's.
People are pretty accepting out here,
yeah.
But there's a stigma around it. There's definitely a stigma. People like to think everything just fits into a box, and like clearly what I'm doing does not fit into a box.
Yeah.
Like after the video that we just showed, like, no, I think that's just ignorance.
Yeah,
I think that's just ignorance on people's part. Don't know what they're talking about. If there's a will, there's a way. Like you can make anything. Life is what you make it, right?
Yeah, because it's always the idea of like to live a fulfilling life, you have to like be hardworking. This or that.
You do have to be. Well, I mean, if you
I guess like hardworking in certain like ways. Like you have to like for a degree and
9 to 5.
night tie and shirt working off sort of thing.
Yeah.
Anything else is just like hipster trash, but it's like, well, no.
Yeah, I think that's just people who are uncultured as well.
Exactly. Like, you uncultured swine. Toy Story reference. Well, cool, man. Well, similar to, TikTok or whatever, similar to your artworks, like, do you make these, like, in hopes that, like, in other words, like, they see, like, a humorous side. This is Patch, like, he's funny and whatnot. And,
I want that.
Because your personality shows on that. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, off camera, I was like, man, so, like, that's really how you make your work? You're like, no, you dumb. I'm like, no, it was a joke. I was like,
well, this is how I make make my work. This video,
like the weed.
The other one, the next one is not. Like, I will make that be known. This is how. So I'll put bleach and water in a weed eater, pump sprayer, whatever you want to call it. And I will spray my clothing, and like I have like a whole system where like I use a certain amount of bleach, certain amount of water, and like I'll just walk. I'll put all this stuff in my backyard, and I'll lay down a tarp, and then I'll have all my clothes out there, and then I'll bleach everything. Yeah.
Dig it. Well, I guess the videos go pretty much hand in hand. I want to go in and watch the second one.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
All right,
so this is part 2.
Yeah, part 2
of this.
You got soft hands, brother. You got soft hands.
I dig that. So how far apart were those 2 videos?
A month.
A month? Okay.
Yeah. So I had to get the weed eater first. Somebody let me borrow their weed eater to do this.
I love the idea that like we look at it, and can haha, it's a funny thing, but I know for a fact that actually probably took a lot of work. One, you have to find that, you have to lay out all the shirts, you have to get a blue thing.
Yeah.
And like it seems like there's.
The laying out the shirts, I was just saying no for like selling my shirts eventually and like creating them and all that. But like getting weed eater wasn't too hard. It was just like getting it all together. And then trying to. My roommate was he was in a rush that day, and he was like, you got 5 minutes. I was like, all right, let's take the video. Like, so and this was just a joke. Like, I don't make my clothing with this item.
You gotta stress that.
like this is a complete joke. but it was just a play on like, cause like everybody was like, you know, that's not a weed eater, that's not a weed eater, that's not a weed eater. So it's like, all right, well, this is a pump sprayer, and, like, and let me just like make clothing with a pump sprayer this time, you know. It's a joke.
Like, similarly, did this blow up also? Did it?
Yeah, it did. It did. Weirdly enough, it did not do well on TikTok, but it's still going up on Instagram right now. So it's pretty nuts, dude. Like I think it's hilarious.
Nice. And you, because obviously I'm following you on Instagram, you have quite the following. So like, have you, is that like a gradual thing? Have you ever, like that 1.8 million, was it just like a night and day?
In the past month and a half, it has been like, boom, just straight up.
Dang,
like,
okay.
But that comes with, you know, freaking years of, not years, but like, well, years of posting on Instagram, but not with intention back then, and then going into it like a year ago onto TikTok and being like, okay, I need this to grow. I need this to like grow my business.
So TikTok was very beneficial to like amassing all that.
Followers, yes, yes. And now it's like, you know, turning those followers into customers.
Yeah.
And people who like follow me and want to support and, you know, will like this beautiful face that's right here. Like,
you can paint that, that'd be cool.
That would be funny. That would be funny. That'd be a moment in time for sure.
No, I think man, that is, how is it having a large following? How does it feel having 1.8 million views? That's
it was pretty surreal. But it was like, I remember I had a video pretty early on whenever I got on TikTok, and it was like 25,000 views on it, and I felt like that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And like that was like, it kind of went to my head a little bit, and I was like, oh, I'm cool. And then like I kind of just phased out of that, and like I said, like I kind of post so much that like the likes don't matter to me. Like whether it's a lot or whether it's a little, it doesn't matter to me. Like that's all. That if that gets to your head, then that's pride. Like, and you cannot let that like get to you.
Yeah.
You know. It's cool. Like I had a lady message me this morning who had bought a hoodie off of me, and she was like, I just want you to know I love this hoodie. Like, she was like, I love it. And like, it's like, she wrote me this paragraph, and I was like, this is so sweet. Like, this is like, and it just makes me feel better. And she was like, you know, thank you. I think she said like, thank you for pursuing your soul purpose. And that's like, no, that's what it feels like this is to me.
That's freaking beautiful. And you know, it's you hear 1.8 million views. Well, granted, I don't know how TikTok works, but you know, it's like, that's so many people, and then like they become individuals once you interact with it like that. And do you interact with your?
I do.
I can call them like fan base, right?
Yeah, you can call them followers, whatever.
Yeah, followers. You interact with them often?
Yeah. If somebody comments something, I'll comment back. Obviously, I couldn't do it on the 1.8 million video.
Yeah,
like, it's crazy.
You'd still be doing it.
There's a lot of people hating on me too, though. Whole lot of hate. Like, that's just gonna happen. That's just you can't take the good without the bad.
Isn't that a quote by Eminem? It's like, if you're not amassing haters, then you're not something to that effect.
Yeah, and I think that's true. You know, then you're not headed in the right direction. And if you're gonna let people who you don't know get to you, then like, don't you shouldn't. You know, like.
Freaking jealousy. Oh. Okay, well, last couple of things on these videos, just sort of wrap up this portion before we get on to the clothing. Speaking of, just. The social media, like, were you comfortable? Was it? You, forgive me if you already kind of like touched on this, but like, was there any like uncertainty? Because like me, like I'm active on Instagram, but like that was something that like I was like nervous, just anxious, like, you know, to be on it. But like now I'll be posting like dumb as shit, like and just, you know, that takes some getting used to and like navigating and whatnot.
It did. It definitely did. I remember whenever I first started doing TikTok, I felt uncomfortable. I didn't. I kind of was going along with what everybody else was doing a little bit, or like we were talking about earlier, like, do you create art for other people or for yourself? And I said, like, you know, I used to kind of create content for other people, whereas like me doing this is like an idea. Like, this is just funny, you know? So like, yeah, I feel like I've worked into a stage where like I don't care anymore. Like I don't care what people think. And I'm like that in person, and I've always been like that in person for the most part. Yeah, but I think once you do it so much that you learn and you grow, and it like takes a new form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
No, I answered it perfectly or whatever.
Okay.
You did that question justice. That was such a simple, basic question. You elevated it. But, okay, cool. And well, the last thing about them just to touch on, it's really cool, is just the idea that they see this funny video, but then they get into it and follow you and say, oh my, look at this talented individual. I thought he was just a comedian, using a quote unquote weed whacker, but it's not. And then,
yeah.
Something very special about that. We can discover.
Yeah, and that's having that turn, but then because it's already me, but then it's having somebody else see that. It's a process.
It's freaking beautiful. Well, all right, we'll finish up those videos. All right, we'll wrap it up with our last 2 clothing pieces. So we'll move on to the first one. I believe you actually have.
Yes.
Woo-wee.
Shout out Athena.
Heck yeah. And is
Pixie
that the one you
Athena.
ever have right here too?
Yep. So this is kind of my process that I talked about a second ago.
Yeah, nice.
So this one is called Teri and Friends, hand bleached, hand tie-dyed. This one is about my pet tarantula.
Nice.
Yeah, her name is Teri. So she got her own little
Forever immortalized.
hoodie. Yeah, her own little piece. So
Well, cool. Well, we can well, I guess let's start with the piece and then we'll work our way up to this.
okay.
Okay, well, so break it first off, was it always meant to be on a hoodie?
So actually, I made this piece before I ever made shirts, and the idea of it was that I want it to be on shirts.
Okay.
I'd never made a shirt before, but I wanted it to be on shirts. Yeah, so it was created with that intention.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. And did that shape your process at all? Did you have to think of dimensions or whatever?
Yeah.
I can't go too big.
No, because I can size things up and down in Photoshop.
Sure. Shout out Photoshop.
Shout out Photoshop. Yeah, I mean, I was just geometric shapes, it'll be popping on the shirt. Yeah.
And so obviously, your pet tarantula started with her, and then worked her way up to the other,
other
the
little
ladybug,
insects,
the caterpillar.
Yeah, her friends.
Okay.
So just found images for these other things online, and then that is actually my pet tarantula.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then all right, so we have the image, and now we're. Well, by the way, does the image itself have a title? You said
Teri and Friends.
Teri and Friends. Okay, that's awesome. Cool. And then so now backing it up, now the hoodie itself, pink. What's the term I'm looking for? Not watercolor. What's the bleach? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, bleach. Okay, cool. And
so it's bleached. It's got different shades of pink. The lighter would be the bleached that alters the color of it. What bleach does is it sucks the color out of the shirt. So this is what the shirt was prior to getting dyed.
Okay.
So it'll suck the color out.
And was that because the way it's placed is perfectly. This is something I wonder about. Is it? You bleach it and just whatever the end result is, that's what you go with? Is it more concentrated?
So all my pieces are unique.
Unique? Okay.
All my pieces are one of kind. No one bleach splatter will be the same as another bleach splatter.
Yeah.
That's just how
May I feel this, by the way? May I just feel this?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Goodness gracious. It is as soft as it looks.
You can feel the inside too if you want to.
Crikey.
Yeah.
I could sleep in that.
No, I even got the...
Damn.
I got my own little tag in there.
Nice.
So yeah, and
Where was the Flow Era?
Flow Era. So that's my logo as well,
Nice.
I said. Yeah. So extra large, wash cold, inside out.
Nice.
Instructions.
And let's bring up those sleeves, which I guess they're not as prominent on the picture. So let's check out those. That's your logo again, yes.
That is my logo on the sleeve of the hoodie as well. Yeah. Flow Era.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Is on both arms?
No, just on one. Just on one. So F and an E. The E is backwards. The yin and the yang is it's a concept clothing brand. We live in a time that's very fast paced. So I'm gonna go with the flow.
Nice. I think, and do you, when you're vending, do you have your clothing with you too, or is it one or the other?
No, I got both.
Okay.
I got both. You should come visit me.
Oh, I'd love to.
You should come see me.
Yeah, that's something I need to tell you off camera. There's an art show going on tonight.
Oh shoot, crazy.
Yeah. But okay, well, yeah, just more about this. Well, I guess, let's talk about.
Can I tell you where to visit me?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah,
you should visit me at the community market on
Saturdays.
Saturdays.
Plural, so every Saturday?
Yes, every Saturday from 9 to 1 I am out there.
9 a.m.?
Yep, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you look up just Denton Community Market on Google Maps,
Heck yeah.
You can go. There's tons of artists.
You're literally gonna be on Google Maps, like the satellite image. You're gonna see
You
Patch
just see my face.
and just
yeah.
staring directly
Yeah.
at Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Okay, well now break this down. Well, first, like, who took this picture? Did you take the picture?
I took this picture. Yeah, I
And
did take this picture.
Is this picture available, like,
No, not for purchase.
that was the wrong.
It's not a calendar.
Is it? No, like, I mean, like, is this like for like you have like a website or something?
Yeah.
And is this, okay.
Yeah, I got
cool.
a website. So like, yeah, these will be, attached to images within my website, and like this is, just a way to build hype, build promotion, do something fun as well.
Heck yeah. Where was this? Where was this?
This was in Dallas. This was in Uptown.
I could have guessed Dallas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can kind of see the
Yeah,
silhouette of everything.
Reunion Tower little thing.
Yeah. So,
Friend of yours?
yeah, Athena, she lives in Dallas. Shout out Pixie Athena.
Yeah, yeah.
She lives in Uptown. She's the homie. Yeah, I was just hanging out with her that day, and she had bought that hoodie off of me, and then she was like, "Hey, we should do a photo shoot," and it's like, we should do a photo shoot.
Okay.
We should
Say
definitely do a
less.
photo shoot. Yeah. So walked around, and like this is like a good like full body picture. I felt like.
Yeah,
There's,
yeah.
Like those other good pictures, but this was like I don't know.
Yeah, no,
one
I
that I
dig
liked.
that. And like, I mean, as you've ventured into the clothing market, like, is that something you're, like, are you just relying on your friends? Have you ever like, oh, I need to maybe like get a model or something to like
Yeah.
try on my clothing? Like,
Pretty much just my friends who I
Friends,
feel
yeah.
like are pretty and
Yeah.
like to do
Yeah, grow
artistic
up and-
things.
yeah.
Like yeah. So nope.
okay, nice. Well, as you're moving into this like clothing thing, like, I mean, it's obviously because the art is one thing, you painting, but then I feel like clothing, once you're making it, like, automatically more so it becomes like a business.
Yeah.
Or whatever you're having to think of, like,
Yeah.
selling and whatnot.
Yeah.
And how is that? I mean, because obviously you have it at your shows, but are you talking to like stores or anything, or like,
Yeah,
oh, can
yeah.
I sell? And, like,
So I have some clothes. Well, I made clothes for that place that I mentioned before in Temple, Texas, the Under My Skin body piercing, where I just did logo pieces for them with their logo on it. I can do that for other businesses, like have the bleach and then put like somebody else's logo on it. At least right now I'm doing that. Yeah, I mean, I've had clothing in stores. I had clothing at the Storm Witch. That was a store in Denton that shut down.
RIP.
R.I.P. Storm Witch. And then, yeah, I have prints around Denton right now.
Denton.
Like I have prints in the Sleeping Lizard, and then I have prints at the Art Hippie Palace. It's right up the square. That's the name of it. So I got prints in there. But clothing, it's like there's levels to it. So there's wholesale, which is what I like to do. Which is wholesale would be somebody pays me up front for the clothing at a reduced price than what I sell it for typically, but they're buying it in mass quantity. So they're getting like, and my minimum is 24 shirts. So you have to buy at least 24 shirts from me to be able to like make a deal with me basically. And there's consignment, where consignment would be like, I'm gonna put your stuff in my store, you get 60%, I take 40%, which is cool too. Like it's like passive income, but for shirts, it's harder for me to do that because I have to have inventory for that. Whereas wholesale, it's like you're buying it. Like it's yours now. Like you understand?
Yeah, I got you. See, and
Yeah.
you said obviously like there are levels, so obviously it's like what you're starting out with, just get your feet in the door, and then as you get as you garner more power,
Yeah. Also depends on the store too. Like not all stores can just have the money to just drop a bunch of money on shirts all at once, So, but like you gotta stay true to your price. Like if it's worked before, it'll work again.
I'm saying, bro, that's perfect.
Yeah.
And speaking of so the clothing itself, so a couple minutes ago I was talking about how soft it is and whatnot, and is that all? Because obviously you're like hoodie, but then are you Patch yourself? Are you the one like, oh, this material, that like, or does that?
Yeah.
You are. Oh snap! I'm imagining you like just like 5 different sweaters like.
That's
like
not
that
the one. Yeah, no.
Okay, so this is like a complete. This is all you, like the sweater from.
I mean, I
everything,
didn't like sew this.
Oh, no,
like, I'm not saying
I've
that.
been very impressed
but-
had you. But
Yeah, somebody asked me that one time. I'm like, No.
I sold all
no. Because I told them, I said, like, my speech normally is like, these are all my handmade clothes. And, like, she wanted to get smart and be like, oh, you sewed this? And I was like, get out.
We don't need that type of.
Yeah, that's a stupid question.
And is this the image itself only available on sweaters or is it on shirts too?
It is on shirts. It's on pink t-shirts as well.
Okay, nice.
Pink hoodies and pink shirts.
Okay, awesome.
I only have a few of these left. I don't have many of these left.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I might have to like cop one off you. But okay, well, I guess before we move on to the last design, any closing comments on this?
Nope.
Fantastic.
Shout out Teri. I love you, baby. I'll see you when I get home.
Hey, oh man, she's watching like, ooh.
My tarantula.
All right, little tarantula. All right, well, cool. Thank you so much for that. All right, I guess we'll go in and finish with our last design. Let's.
Lit.
Woo-wee.
Just a bunch of mushrooms.
It's my boy.
That is me with much longer hair.
Yeah, cool. So, obviously, mushroom. So, is it the same mushroom from the print we just saw?
Yep. So that's the whole thing. Is I'll take images of my paintings and then I'll put them on clothes.
Nice.
Yep. So there's that one.
Nice.
The hoodie.
Oh, this. I guess it's the color stuff. Let's see that again.
Sure. So that is it.
Damn, that's beautiful.
So hand bleach, hand tie-dyed, printed on. It says Flow Era, which is my logo.
Nice.
Or which is my brand. So.
Who took that? Was this a professional photo at all? Or?
Yeah.
Nice.
So this is my boy Gannon. Shout out Gannon.
Shout out.
A trophic son.
My boy Ganondorf, Legend of Zelda.
No, it's just a guy that I found on Instagram who I had like reached out to. I liked his photos. I think I had like put on Instagram like, hey, if there's any photos or any photographers that would like to work with me on shooting a clothing brand, I'll get you paid or I'll get you an item or something like that.
Respect.
And he responded and I was like, yep, I like what this guy does and I want him to take pictures of my clothes for me.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So working with that, was it you gave him ideas and he executed them, he gave you ideas and you're like, okay, like you approved?
Yeah,
sort of
it was
thing?
like a push and pull, you know.
Okay.
It was it was just creative vision. Like this idea was like, you know, we're laying in the ground with just a bunch of mushrooms. Yeah.
So down to earth, right?
Yeah, so down to earth.
And all friends of yours, right?
Oh, yeah, this is Athena again. And then
howdy.
her name is Ava. So,
Howdy,
yeah,
Ava and Athena.
All friends of mine.
And then obviously.
That is me.
Okay, groovy. And just curious, was this like the only photo taken during the session?
We had a bunch. So this was pre that wholesale event that I told you about. And I really just wanted, so like I got a bunch of photos taken, and then at that event I had printed them all out and put them like on a wall, so like my customers could like see like what they look like on people. So.
And is that the intention of like having three of y'all like to like show the diversity of what the clothing is?
Yes,
like?
yes.
Cool.
You got a male, you got 2 females. Yeah.
He looks so chill. I'm just looking at you, just like just so at peace.
We out here just growing mushrooms.
And then Abe was like, "Is this shit over with already?"
And Athena's like, "I'm just here." Just kidding.
That's freaking great. And so obviously we see like some alternate designs. Like how many alternates are there? We got the shirt and even. Right, the mushrooms are different colors between y'all two?
Yeah, so this is like an old way I used to print it, where it was, because like I've gone through like different methods of like getting my design to it. So this design right now is from direct to film, which is
that's the
type of print that I print onto it. The company.
Good thing you corrected me.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll print my clothes onto shirts. And like basically what it is there's a company that I order my transfers from, and it's a special kind of ink that prints on the film, and then snap. I take the designs, and then in one of those videos you see me like pushing down on something, and like I'm attaching on the TikTok, so I'm attaching the design to the shirt, so it like won't come off, but it's a special kind of ink, so like it's.
Dang, you're talking about handmade.
Yeah. So like it's good, but like this was like heat transfer paper, which is the exact same thing, worse quality. But I didn't know that. So you learn as you go.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
Real quick, because I'm Go ahead and hold it up so we can see the design as it's like, damn. Hold it like a couple of seconds. Yes. In post, I'm gonna zoom in on that. That's really great. All right, perfect.
We out here.
And cool. And so going, and so going off with the background for this, the choice. Would you say this is brown?
Yeah.
And then brown and black. So obviously all
orange.
conscious.
That's what happens when I spray it with the bleach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I'll spray it with the bleach and it'll change colors. That was the original color of the material before it was dyed.
Okay, groovy. And so of these 3 designs up here, so that's like the original, and then you branch out, make an alternate, which is like that shirt and stuff.
So the shirts will just that's what color the shirts bleach. Whenever the shirts will bleach it like like an orange.
Okay, so whatever it bleaches.
This will bleach like a more brownish orange, like a darker orange, I guess. Yeah. Yep. So
how recent is this?
This hoodie that I made? This one's old. This is mine actually that I brought. I have more hoodies, but they have a smaller mushroom on it, and I wanted to bring the one with the bigger mushroom on it. Okay, so yeah, I probably made this like December, something like that.
December 2022?
Yeah. So recently. That was when I kind of switched over. No, I switched over after that, before that. I switched over to direct to film probably in like September, and then had an October Halloween drop. And that was the first time that like I had actually gone to direct to film, and I'm probably gonna stick with this for a little while.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Man, well, groovy, and I mean, just like, have you, like, just selling your clothing, like seeing people wear it, like, how does that make you feel? Like, I mean, dang, I mean, I think it's amazing when someone likes my post on Instagram.
Yeah.
You're having people wear your clothing. Like,
yeah, no, it's one of the best feelings in the world. It's pretty bizarre, and I'll catch people like out in the wild. Like I've seen people like wearing my clothes at the gym I work out at.
Bro.
And it's like,
do you say anything to them, or you just let them be?
I typically don't.
So I let just staring at me.
If they want to come up to me, I remember there's this one girl who was wearing one of my shirts, and like we like made eye contact, and I feel like she knew who I was, but I didn't want to like go up and be like, nice shirt or something like that. So like, that was kind of it.
There's that acknowledgement.
It was like, okay, we work out of the same gym.
That's groovy.
Yeah, no, it's great. I've seen it on Friday Street before too, and things like that.
Oh, I bet.
It's bizarre. It's blessings.
Nice. Okay, so you got the clothing. And how do you feel with you still a lot to learn, right? Do you feel like you're at a place where it's like, okay, well, this is fine. Like, still some ins and outs?
I'm in the growth phase right now. Like, I feel like I like what I'm doing. I like I'm headed in the right direction. And like, there's ways to make clothing, that are better and things like that, more expensive ways, things like that. I would like to venture into those ways eventually, like direct to garment.
Nice. So you think you'll, I don't know, pants, hats?
Yeah, these shorts that I made.
Oh, I didn't even know. You've been sitting in front of me this whole time.
These are some shorts that I did. I don't have any hats yet. That is something I want to do.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Nah. Well, absolutely groovy, dude. And well, speaking of you saying you're growing, well, I'm glad I was able to meet you along your path or whatever along the way. And well, great. Well, any closing comments on this?
Nope.
Wrap it up?
Nope. God is good.
Heck yes.
That's basically it.
All right, bet. Well, okay. Well, thank you so much for showing all your work. Like, oh my goodness gracious. I hope people watch this because, I mean, like, the talent and Denver just, like, around is, like, amazing. And, I mean,
it's pretty bizarre. Yeah. There's a lot of talent here.
Obviously. I mean, so thank you for, like, sharing this. And I would just, well, first off, thanks for coming on and being willing to share this with me.
Absolutely.
Fascinating individual.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. The pleasure is all mine, dude. Well, thank you so much. You want to give some last comments to the audience at home who
you can find me on Instagram at the creator 3Patch. I have a website, flowera.art. So that's FLOWERA.art. Find me at the community market 9 to 1 in Denton, Texas, every Saturday from 9 to 1 p.m.
Very approachable.
Except for this doesn't air until next Tuesday, so that doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, heck yeah. But, all right, well, follow, Patch. Thank you so much, sir. And alrighty, gang, well, thank y'all so much for watching. And we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Killed it. Woo.